this tutorial, I'll show you guys how to turn things into gold and how to change color clothing. So stay tuned. So let's go ahead by fixing the color on this dude right here. So the way I get black clothing, it's super simple. All you have to do is just go to your hue and saturation, bring down the saturation all the way to -100 and fill in the layer mask with black. And so just get your brush tool, set the hardness to maybe around 90%. Using the white, you just want to go over anything you want to be black. So let's just go over his shirt. And this is pretty much how I get the black clothing on my art. You want to go over the jewelry too. So I'm just doing this really quick. Get the beard, get down here. And get his hat. So already you can see that we made his clothing black instead of that blue. And if you want to check if you got everything, all of the blue off his shirt, all you have to do is go back into your hue and saturation and bring the saturation all the way up to 100, and anything in color is obviously in color, so you'll just go back into your desaturated hue and saturation and go over that with the white, and you can see that it makes it black. So that's just the tip. So you could just delete that out. And the way I go by making my the jewelry gold, I use one of the gradients in Photoshop. So you just go into your gradient map and click right here. I believe if you click this box over here, actually it's not that. Just click on the gradient. Hit this icon up here, and I believe it's in it's in the photographic toning. So you'll click on gold 2. There's two golds, there's gold 1 and gold 2. We'll want to use gold 2. Click OK. Then Control J to duplicate that and set this one to soft light. Set the bottom one to color. Go back on top and set the opacity for this one to 50%. Then group these together, make a layer mask and make this black. With your brush tool and using white, just go over the jewelry like this, and you'll have that gold. So this is how I get that. This is how I do all the jewelry and all that stuff. Go over his watch here. These silver parts. I'm doing it really sloppy, but yeah, you see the point. And already you can see how it looks. It's pretty good. And let's just go back into let's make a new adjustment and select solid color. And let's go to the green and bring the green all the way up and hit color. And the reason I do this is to show you guys how you guys would go about coloring his shirt. So fill this layer mask in with black, and using your brush tool on white, you'll just go over his shirt. I'm doing this really quick just to show you guys how it works. So this is how I would go about making black clothing colorful. For white clothing, it would be different, and I'll show you guys in a bit how I go about doing that. So let's say I want to get his cap up here too. You would just have to go back in and remove the green from the letters using the black. So you just go like something like this. I'm doing this really fast just so you guys don't have to watch me do this forever. So it'd be something like that. So remember, I used color right here. I believe you can also use multiply if that works too, but I usually just use color. And if you go back in here, you could change it. You could use pink. You see that looks pretty cool. You go here, you could use yellow, blue, red. You see this looks really good. But obviously you would take your time. You don't want to have like it coming off over here. So that's how I go about doing that for the black clothing and the jewelry. I want to show you guys an example. So here's a artist photo that they sent me for a cover. So if you go into the folder here, you can see that this is the original image, and this is the details using Topaz Labs. And using that hue and saturation, I desaturated the blue jeans and any blue tint. And with the gradient map, I used that gold. So you can see this one's soft light and this one's color. So that's an example. So let's exit this. And let's exit this one too. So here we have another artist. So let's say you want to make this yellow part maybe red. So you go down here to your adjustments and click solid color. Let's make this red. Bring the selected thing all the way up to the top right corner. Click on color. You could use color, or multiply is not going to work in this case, so I always just usually stick to the color blending mode. So let's fill in the layer mask with black. Now let's get your brush tool, and before doing this, you want to go to your hue and saturation, and you want to desaturate any where you're going to paint over. So let's fill in the layer mask with black, and we want to get rid of this yellow, so let's desaturate this. Desaturate right here. The earpiece, we're going to desaturate that. The yellow here. This is really sloppy, but I just want to make this real quick. Okay. So now let's go into our color up here, and with the white brush tool, you want to go over this with red. You want to go over it quick right here. Up here where the yellow was. Right here. Okay, so that's good. Let's let me check if I can, yeah, just keep it at that color we were at. So as you can see, it doesn't look really good. It looks too bright. So what you want to do is hold Control and click on the thumbnail of the layer mask, and that's going to select the parts where you paint it over. Now let's click on the hue and saturation, and between the color fill and hue and saturation, we're going to create a levels. And what we're going to do, since it's too bright, we're going to darken the midtones. And you can see that it looks a lot better. So this is how I would go about fixing it. See, without the levels and with the levels, and you can see the effect it does. So we can change this to any color we want: green, blue, light blue, orange. So that's how I would go about that. And to demonstrate the gold, turning things into gold, you can go back into your gradient map, click on the gradient here, and remember to click on this icon and click on the photographic toning. Click OK. That brings up these. Click on gold 2. Click OK. Control J. And on the top one, soft light. The top one's always going to be a soft light. Set the opacity to 50%. Go to the bottom one and make this blending color. And what you can do is just group these together, make a layer mask, fill this in with black, and now you can just go into the earpiece and just make this gold. So that's how I would go about making this gold. There's tons of different ways. This is the way I do it. And if you want, since gold is, you know, shiny and all that, what you can do is control click the layer mask thumbnail, and in the bottom you want to create a levels, and you can bring the highlights to the left just to make it bright and the midtones to the right. So you can see now it looks a lot more like gold. It's, you know, it gives it that shine. So if it doesn't look like gold, it's because it's not really, like, without it, it's very dull, but with the levels, it adds that contrast between the darks and the highlights. And that's just by using levels and bringing the highlights to the left. So that's that example. So let's check out how to make a white shirt colorful. So we'll use this photo of Chance. So for this, instead of using the blending mode of color, we're going to use a different blending mode. Since this is on white, the color only works on the black. So let's go back down here to our adjustments, solid color, and we're going to make his shirt, let's say, blue. So bring that all the way up here, click OK, and for your blending mode this time, instead of color, we're going to use multiply. We can also use darken, but we're going to, or color burn, but I'm going to stick with multiply. You want to fill in the layer mask with black. Get your brush tool and just paint over the white t-shirt. And remember, I'm doing this super sloppy, but you guys will see the point. If this was real work, you obviously wouldn't go as fast as I'm doing, and, you know, take your time. The more time you take, the better the result. Okay, so we're done doing that. So it doesn't look that good. So, and actually, I'm going to change the color of the t-shirt to this color on his jacket. To this color, click OK. Control click the layer mask that's going to select the area that we painted. And below the color fill, we're going to use a levels, and we're going to bring the midtones to the right. What this does, it brings out the mixed, obviously the midtones pop out. So let's go back into our color here, and let's just decrease this to maybe something like that. And already you can see the vast difference. This is because we're using the levels, so always keep in mind to use this for the white t-shirts or white clothing. So that's how I would go about doing it on white clothing. We can change this to anything we want, to this color, to green. That's super bright. You can just reduce it to something like that. And that's how I would go about doing for the white clothing. So let's close this. And we can close this. So for the next photo, we're going to use our favorite artist, and that's Lil Wayne. So as you can see, he has a white t-shirt, and if we want to color this, we're going to go to down here to our adjustments, select solid color. Let's say we want to make the t-shirt red, so let's go all the way to the top, click OK. And if this were the black clothing, we would use color, but if you use it on white, it just doesn't work. So we go to use multiply, fill in the layer mask with black. Now get your brush tool and brush over the white clothing. And I'm not being precise. That's just to keep the video short. I don't want to keep you guys waiting and stuff. So just color this real quick. Okay, that's looking good. We're getting there. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Now, so what we're going to do is control click the layer mask. This selects everything that we colored in red. Below it, we're going to create a levels, bring our midtones to the right, and the reason we're going to do that is to bring out all the shadows. You can see here that it looks super flat and there's no shadows, there's no highlights, there's no nothing. So we're going to bring the midtones to the right, and you can see that our shadows comes out. Let me try to decrease this a little bit. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Anyway, so use your levels to bring out the shadows, and that's how I would go about doing that for the white shirt. And I believe he has a grill, so let's just do the making it gold. So go to your gradient map, click on the gradient, click on this icon, photographic toning, click on that, click OK. It brings up these gradients. Click on gold 2, click OK. Make the blending mode color, Control J, set this blending mode to soft light, bring the opacity to 50%. Next, you want to group this, Control G, make a layer mask, fill in the layer mask with black, get your brush tool, make sure it's on white and the opacity is at 100%, and just go over his grill, and there you go, it's gold. We can also do it on his mic right here. And whatever that is. Could do it on his belt. And you can see it pretty much works all the time. Could do it on these letters. So that's how I would go about doing that. So let's close this photo out. And let's try just one last photo. And let's do it on this gun here. And we're going to make this gun golden. So the gold part I want it to be is just here on all the metal parts. So go to your gradient map, go into your gradients, select color 2, click OK, Control J, set the blending mode to soft light, set the opacity to 50%, and set this one to color. Next you want to group these, Control G, create a layer mask, blend the layer mask with black, and just go over this part here. And you can see how it's starting to work out. It doesn't really look that convincing, so holding control, click on the layer mask thumbnail, create a levels, and that automatically applies that layer mask. So what we're going to do is bring up the highlights for that and bring them into the right. So it would be something like this, and you can see it gives off that golden color vibe. And that's how I would go about doing this for a gun. So you can see that the levels has an extremely important part to play in this. Without the levels it would look like that, and with the levels it looks like this. So anytime the gradients aren't working, that's mainly because the highlights aren't strong enough, and that's the reason I created the levels, to bring up those highlights and give that shine gold would have. So that's how I would go about doing that. And if you don't like this wood color, you want to make it black, I already showed you guys. You go to your hue and saturation, you bring the saturation all the way down, fill this in with black, and just change the woodwork here. So it's something like that. If you don't like how light this is, Control click the layer mask thumbnail, go into your levels, and bring your midtone to the right. That's just going to make this darker. So that's how I would go about doing that. So this image is black and white, and we want to make this chain gold. So let's go into our gradient map. Let's select the color gold color 2, click OK, Control J, make this one soft light, put the opacity to 50%, the bottom one to color. So always remember that the top color is the top layer will always be soft light, and the bottom one will always be color. This one's always at 100%, and this one's always at 50%. Whatever works for you and whatever looks better. So let's group this together, make a layer mask, and fill this in with black. Get our brush, make sure it's on the white color, and we're just going to go over the chain. And again, this is sloppy, but you would take your time on this. And you can see how vibrant the chain is. So that looks really good. Maybe even get this part of his glasses here. So that's another way. So let's do one more white shirt, white clothing. And let's make this one yellow. So let's go into our solid color. Get that yellow color, click OK, set the blending mode to multiply. Fill in the layer mask with black. And now let's paint. Let's brush over the shirt to make it yellow. Let's get this. Let's get the bottom here. And it looks pretty good itself, but we can always refine it. So control click the layer mask. Below between the two layers, let's create a levels, and let's rename it to the right. And you can see how it would work. If you were to take your time and be more precise, then it would obviously look better, but you can see how this method works. So this is with the levels and without the levels. We always use levels beneath the color because if we put it above, it destroys the purpose of it sometimes, depending on the color. We can change the color here. Let's say we want a green color, blue, red. So that's how you would go about changing the shirt. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope you guys learned something new. If you guys have any suggestions for future tutorials, leave it in the comments down below. I read all comments and reply to all comments. Make sure to follow my Instagram at SicanEric Designs for the latest updates and for more. So I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.